Previously on the last Pokémon Crystal challenge run. Hopefully it doesn't high roll, and coming up, I always take great pleasure in setting fire to Tangela. Welcome back to 4 Moves. This is the series where we grab a Pokemon, we give it 4 moves, and we see just how long it takes us to defeat Red. Sometimes we have a very, very smooth and quick run, and other times we make a bit of a dog's dinner of it. And talking of dog's dinner, today we are going to be running Arcanine. Arcanine is the original legendary Pokemon from Generation 1, and quite frankly it's been far too long since we've run one. In fact, it's been well over 3 years, so this challenge is definitely overdue. An awful lot has changed in that time. Now we do have to decide what moves we're giving to our Arcanine. There are going to be a couple that are absolutely going to be locked in, and the first of those is of course going to be Flamethrower. Flamethrower is a phenomenal move for our Arcanine. It's going straight into slot 1. Now for slot number 2 we are going to go for Hidden Power. We're going for Hidden Power Ice so that we can get through both Clair and Lance fairly easily. For slot 3 I've got a feeling, that Sunny Day might come in handy. We are the fire type and there are a lot of strong surfers coming up throughout the course of this challenge. And now I've got to be honest, even at this point I don't know what I'm going to put in slot 4. There are a few options that might be good in slot 4. Crunch is something that I'm thinking about because it is an 80 base power move and fairly strong throughout the course of the challenge. It can drop special defense as well, which could be nice. However, we have 110 in physical attack, and we don't currently have any physical moves. So I think we are going to go for the Gen 1 special. We're going to take full advantage of it being a Gen 1 TM and therefore being legal in this particular challenge by giving our Arcanine Body Slam. Body Slam might come in very useful for a trainer like Red. I'm thinking his Snorlax is going to struggle to go down with our special moves, so having Body Slam in the back pocket might be the play. So now let's take a look at our stats for this challenge. We're level 5 with 25 HP, holding the berry with Flamethrower, Hidden Power Ice, Sunny Day and Body Slam. We've got 17 in attack, 14 in defense, 16 in special attack, 14 in special defense, and 16 in speed. And so now let's get the challenge underway. I don't think we're going to have quite as good a time as we did in the last challenge, and this is your initial warning for spoilers. If you didn't see the last 4 moves challenge, now is the time to go and watch it before you watch this one, because it will be inevitable that we talk about that last challenge. For Arcanine, I'm aiming for around about the 115 mark. I think that's going to be fairly accurate. For Arcanine's capabilities, it does have some points where it will struggle because it's the fire type. I wish that it didn't struggle in Generation 2, but there's a little bit too much of the old surf, and because we need Hidden Power Ice to get a fast time, we need it to get through both Lance and Clair. It means that we can't really have anything specifically targeting the water types. If we didn't have to face those dragons, I'd probably go for something like Hidden Power Grass or Hidden Power Electric in that slot, but as it stands, we can't have 2 Hidden Power types as much as I would love to. Let's now take on the first rival battle though. This one should be fairly simple. He's got nothing really on his learn set at this point, and we've paralysed it. 2 Body Slams knocks it out for good, and we get through the first one very quickly. I am considering, by the way, giving this Arcanine a quick run up the Sprout Tower. We aren't going to be breaking any records anyway, and it will give us a little bit of extra experience for the Whitney battle. We're going to be weak to rollout, of course, and we are in the slow experience group, so it is quite often beneficial and a little bit of a time save to invest that time very early on in Sprout Tower, so that we've then got the extra levels in preparation for what could be a potentially fairly tricky gym battle. although I've not quite committed to it yet. We'll see how we go. As with all of these challenges, I don't do any pre-prep. It's all done on the fly. That's how I love doing the challenges. That's how I feel I get the best out of both myself and the Pokemon we are running. Having very good early wild encounter luck again on this challenge. We had some phenomenal early wild luck on the last 4 moves challenge, and it seems to have carried through onto this one. So much so that I am going to take on this Bugcatcher Wade, so that we can get just a little bit more defensive stat experience. Caterpie's got a lot of bulk considering it's an early game bug, so it's definitely worth taking on. Encounterless all the way up, goodness me. And I think we are going to do the Sprout Tower. We're only level 7. I don't feel that confident about our defensive stats going through to Whitney without at least giving a little cursory go up here. It will also mean that we don't have to faff about with Rock Tunnel and Silver Cave in the dark, and it opens up the Whirl Island Rare Candy, which, when you're in the slow experience group, can sometimes make the difference between a very tricky battle where you're taking a lot of resets and something where you just about scrape by. Now that I've done it, I do think that Sprout Tower was the right idea because we get up to level 10. That is not bad at all. And we can possibly even scrape out to level 11 courtesy of this final stage. Oh, goodness me, Body Slam wasn't a one-shot there. Probably equal with both Flamethrower and Hidden Power Ice on the Hoot Hoot. We'll grow up to 11 and then we will use a Hidden Power on the final Bellsprout there as well. We get the Lantern and we can now leave. We're going to get a couple of encounters probably on the way down, but it doesn't matter too much. This is all part of the good early game experience points that we'll be getting. Only the one encounter, and if that Sage could get his butt out of the way, we'd make our way into the first gym. And so after disposing of the first Birdkeeper, we've just got Birdkeeper Rod to get through, and then it will be the main event with Falkner. It's looking like we're going to be going in at level 12, which is more than enough to deal with Falkner. You've got to remember as well, he does have Mud Slap, so if we can one-shot both of his Pokemon, we are not in danger of rolling the dice at this battle. We do one shot and we obtain the Zephyr Badge in a time of 5 minutes and 36 seconds. That is still a very good time for the start of this challenge. We do have to remember that the Scyther challenge that happened before this was definitely an outlier. We are not going to get that kind of luck, even with the best Pokemon that we can run. That luck, especially in the early game with the encounters, was fairly rare. So I've cherry-picked a few trainers to take on route to the Union Cave here. We can't take on our regular Poliwag trainer, unfortunately. We are very much at risk at going down to him because I don't think we'd be able to one-shot the Poliwag. However, we can take on this Onix. It's deliciously high amounts of experience, considering we are very early on in the game. And we've got Hidden Power Ice for these Geodude. All these tiny bits of defensive stat experience will add up as well to try and make the challenge a little bit smoother. So that is why we're going to take on this Coughing while we're here. Because Coughing is another one of those Pokemon that has a surprisingly high amount of physical defense. And now, after managing to evade Hiker Anthony and having a little chat with Kurt, we can make our way in to the Slowpoke well together. This should be a fairly trivial affair on this particular occasion. Although that rat was a little bit mean critting us, wasn't it? Hopefully that'll be the only damage we take. We might take a little bit more damage, though, from the other rat that's in this cave, but the rest of the Pokemon should be very easy to take out. Now, we are going to be igniting a lot of bugs in a moment, so we will put Flamethrower back into top slot, and I think it'll be just the trick for the final few Pokemon here in the Slowpoke well. We can get rid of this last proper grunt, and we can move on to the final grunt in here, who somehow metamorphosized into an executive by the time it came for Generation 4. And there we go, Kurt's chugged the old secret potion, must have a direct line with Jasmine, and we can make our way in to gym number 2. We have the fire type here, so it's going to make full sense to do complete trainers. Everything will be a one-shot, maybe even a one-shot on the Scyther if we get ourselves a little bit lucky. We should hopefully outspeed the Scyther as well here. Arcanine, for a Generation 1 Pokemon, has some very, very good stat spread. 95 in speed, 110 in attack, and 100 in special attack. Kind of actually feels like a later gen Pokemon. Maybe that's why this one is classed as a legendary in the Pokédex, because they knew it had very good stats and had very, very good potential. Let's set fire to this Paris. We'll make Bugcatcher Josh have a terrible day. And now we will take on Bugsy. He is our second gym leader together today, a Bug-type specialist, poor him. Led with a Metapod that's on fire. Scyther goes down in much the same way. Here comes Kakuna. It's a one-shot with Flamethrower. We wouldn't expect anything less. And Bugsy needs to have the fire department on speed dial. After setting fire to a bunch of bugs, we do get the Hive badge in a time of 10 minutes and 6 seconds. And now, after a quick hydration break, we can engage the rival in battle. He's going to lead with Ghastly and we'll set fire to it much like we did with all of Bugsy's Pokemon. We can't, however, set fire to the Croconaw, so instead we'll use a pair of Body Slam, and then for the Zubat, we will use another Flamethrower. What a very simple rival battle. He didn't even bother with a Water-type move. He must be very, very intimidated by our Arcanine. We'll plonk those repels up to top spot so that we can't stumble in the bag for them later on, and we will reunite this Farfetch'd with its human. Now, you may notice that when we run the fire type, I very, very rarely hold on to the charcoal. As it happens, most of the Pokemon weak to fire that we come up against have relatively paltry special defense, so it is far more beneficial to invest that charcoal in some vitamins than it is to use it as a held item. If we were using later gen held item type boosts where you get a 20% buff, it could be worth it, but here in Generation 2 and in Generation 3 actually when we run that, it is only a 10% boost, and that really does not make the difference in an awful lot of challenges. I know that Snowy on their streams quite often mentions that it is not worth picking up the Never Melt Ice, and I think it's the same for most of the type boosting items. They are very, very circumstantial in these challenges, so I will probably be getting them less and less. Because I use Rock Smash, I do quite often pick up the Never Melt Ice because it's right in front of my face, but you may have noticed it's very rare these days we go for anything like the Soft Sand, and I don't even bother with a Miracle Seed, even though that is en route, because 99% of the time, if you're running a Grass-type Pokemon, you're probably going to be at your wit's end and running scared anyway, so a 10% buff isn't really going to do much in those circumstances. Now we're going to do our regular Goldenrod City routing in this particular challenge. We're going to go all the way up to chat with Floria before we take on Whitney. That is to try and get as many levels as we can before we have to face that Miltank. Even though we have very, very good stats, I am terrified of the cow in this particular challenge because Rollout has a very nasty habit of accumulating far more damage than you expect it to. But before we think about the cow, that does mean we have to take the trip north. One of the very good things about being the fire type is we don't have to worry about being burnt by this bumhead fire duck. Quite often I avoid this trainer if we can't one-shot the bumhead fire ducks because I have been burnt quite literally a few too many times. There was an Ursaring challenge that got canned where we were on a really, really good pace, but then we ended up being burnt by Fire Breather Walt's second Magmar. So I just canned the run and went off in a little bit of a huff. We'll take on Psychic Mark today because he's really good experience and stat experience. And I always take great pleasure in setting fire to Tangela. So it's going to happen whether it helps the time or not. We'll chat with Floria. We will go all the way back now to Goldenrod City. We'll do a quick heal and we'll make our way in to the gym. Now, Whitney has just one mandatory trainer to take care of. This is Last Carry, and she has just a Snubble. It's a one-shot with Flamethrower, so we can move straight onto the main event here, which is Whitney. She is a normal type specialist, leads with Clefairy. Pound is fairly okay from the Clefairy. Here comes the Miltank, and she doesn't even bother with Rollout. How strange. 2 shots on the Miltank though, finishes it off, and we obtain our next badge, the Plain badge, in a time of 14 minutes and 46 seconds. Now you may notice I never take on any of the optionals. I say never, I very rarely take on any of the optionals here in Whitney's gym. I find they are far too bulky. They either have very high defense or very high HP, and there are some trainers there that can send you to sleep. And I think barring freeze, which is never guaranteed in this generation, sleep is the worst status condition you can be afflicted with because it can last a very, very long time. Here in Ecruteak, we're going to start off with the Kimono Girls, and that will be the only thing we do on our first sweep through of Ecruteak. The Kimono Girls were all nice and easy, and that does give us access to the raft. We'll be using that after we defeat Morty, but Morty is going to be holding on for quite some time. We're going to make our way over to Olivine City now. Now, I really did not want to face Beauty Olivia. She could be fairly frustrating, although she's not going for recover in this particular battle, so we got off fairly lightly. I also don't want to take on Norman. We do have that glaring Achilles heel, which is the water type, so we're going to have to try and do our best to avoid as many water type trainers as possible throughout the course of this challenge. Pikachu, however, is just free fodder. Free experience points for knocking it out. And while Pikachu may not be great at a lot of things, it has a lot of speed behind it, so we are able to get a fair amount of speed stat experience at the same time. We're going to get our Super Repels here in Olivine Mart. We'll get Strength so we don't forget it later. And then we will also have a quick little PP heal in the Pokemon Center. So it is now the next day for the challenge run, so the sun is up here in Olivine City and we're going to start climbing the Lighthouse. Got startled this morning, got woken up a little bit earlier than I wanted to by my microphone arm collapsing in the middle of the night. So I'm running on slightly less sleep than I would like to be, but I'm sure we'll get through regardless. And I'm probably Streisand affecting this, but I have a couple of issues with my tummy today, so I do apologise in advance if you hear any gurgles or any horrible sounds through the mic. I promise it's not me making them on purpose. Now, I think we're in for a very, very good time with the rest of this Arcanine challenge. Felt very positive about the beginning after going to bed. Had a little think about how I want to play the later game as well. I'm really liking actually starting challenges on one day, taking a break at some point in the early game, and getting a vibe of whether I want to do anything different or whether I want to commit to the challenge when I get up the next day. That way it kind of gives me a teeny tiny bit of flexibility, just in case I think of something that may help out a little bit more. And with that, we have beaten the final sailor here in the Lighthouse. We'll have a little chat with Jasmine now. We'll grab the rare candy, and we must not forget to PP heal in Olivine's Pokemon Center. Otherwise, this will have been an absolutely fruitless endeavour. And after a quick cycle back to Ecruteak City, we can take on the third and middle rival battle. This time he is going to lead with Haunter. We'll use a flamethrower on the Haunter, we'll knock it out in one, we grow to level 27, and then it's going to be a double body slam on the Croconaw. Water Gun might as well not be super effective with how little damage it did there. We'll flamethrower away the Zubat and we'll do the same against the Magnemite. Very good stuff there, easy rival battle. That means we can fall through the floor, release the beasts. More importantly, we'll ignore Ucine, and we can think about Morty next. And now, after getting through all of the trainers here in Morty's gym, we're going to plonk on the Minceberry, and we will take on Morty himself. He is our fourth gym leader together today. He is a dual Ghost and Poison type spectacular leader, leads with Ghastly. We're just going to Flamethrower here, probably going to be a 2-shot on the Gengar, which is why I'm holding on to the Minceberry. It's a little bit of insurance, and it's always the way, isn't it? You make your preparations, you cover for the eventuality of not one-shotting and you bloody crit. Not going to complain though, 22-26 for the Fog Badge. I swear, sometimes I think this game is sentient. It knows what I want to do, and it will throw spanners in the works to make me look like a right old fool. I'm never going to complain at that, though. It makes the battle easier, and it makes the run a little bit more fun. Now, we don't want to take on anyone else here. I really don't like that spinner. He's one of very few spinners where you have to cross multiple directions, and I am not very good at avoiding him. Terrible at avoiding this Lickitung trainer as well, though, but I feel like Lickitung, even though it had an hour-and-a-half video, deserves a little bit more prominence where we can beat it up. And now we'll take on our standard Ron as well. Ron is one of my favourite trainers to take on. He's got a single Nidoking, it gives a lot of experience. And with that, we are at the Lake of Rage. Now, I'm going to take no risks. I'm going to go in at full health, just because this thing has Dragon Rage. And that is a very, very terrifying move when you three-shot this Gyarados. Only went for the single Dragon Rage, so we weren't in too much danger. But we do now have the red scale. And look who's here. I didn't want to talk to him, so I just told him where to go, and we're moving on with our lives. Maybe we'll meet up with him later and make his day infinitely worse than it already was. In the meantime, though, we're going to pick up some bits and bobs here around the lake. We are going to grab TM43 to sell for some cash money moolah. We're going to go and get Hidden Power as well for some cash so that we can spend it on vitamins. And that is everything we need to do at the lake. We have full lake completion. Let's get ourselves back to Olivine City. We'll dip in here because I'm tempted, you know, because Chuck has a water type. I am tempted to do Jasmine first. It's going to cost us however long it takes us to cross this ocean. So we started crossing at around about 49 seconds. So it's 10 seconds if you don't get an encounter. That is not a bad time loss at all. You've got to think that while it might be 10 seconds to cross the ocean from Olivine to Cianwood, it could easily be longer than 10 seconds doing a reset or two at Chuck if the RNG doesn't go your way. So it really is all about fitting the pieces together. I'll be speaking about that a little bit later on in one of our chatty sections of the challenge. For now, though, we'll get ourselves out of here and we'll go straight into our 5th gym together. This is Jasmine. She's a steel type specialist and she's got no special defense. Leads with Magnemite. It's a one-shot on the Magnemite, no doubt about that. It's going to be a one-shot on the Steelix as well. And the last Magnemite comes out, it goes down in exactly the same way, and that means we get our next badge, the Mineral Badge, in 26 minutes and 2 seconds. Don't forget as well, we get a buff to our defences via the Mineral Badge, so while that might not come into play in this particular Chuck battle, it will help our survivability for the gym trainers on the way to Chuck. Are there ever any Pokemon for you where you just cannot for the life of you remember the stats spread? For me, it's the Hitmons. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've never had them in my party, barring the one time we did a solo run with Hitmontop. I just don't remember anything about them. So I don't know what I'm coming up against, and quite often I'll think special moves are the way to go against the Hitmons. But I have a feeling, you know, physical moves might be better. It's just one of those little mental blocks. I used to have it with the Weezing line and the Muck line until Snowy pointed out the bloomin' obvious with those. The Weezing line floats in the air, therefore it can't get hit very hard by Earthquake, and it has much higher physical defense, whereas Muck is on the floor and it can get hit by Earthquake, so its special defense is higher. And I can't believe it took over 20 years of playing Pokemon for that to make sense to me. Right, let's take on Chuck. Primate was easy, Poliwrath scary. That's pretty much all we need to know about this battle. Surf does a lot of damage, but he's fully paralysed, so we get through. There we go, Storm Badge acquired in 27 minutes and 49 seconds. Little things like that about the stats make me think Game Freak probably did put a lot of thought into the stats, even though some of them seem like they are completely arbitrary and random. And now, after doing a teeny tiny bit of housekeeping, picking up the bits and bobs that I wanted to, we are ready to go into the Mahogany Underground. Weird that we just got let in there by some kind of ghost-like figure. No idea how those stairs appeared or why that man fell over. We'll have to do some investigation. Not today, though. We are on the clock. Now, here in the hideout, we've got to get through a bunch of rockets. As always, I'm not going to make you sit through them. Let's skip ahead to the end. And that is the hideout, all cleared out. For some reason, a bath plug and HMO6 have invisibly made their way into our bag. Not quite sure why that happened, but I'm sure they'll come in useful. We can get out of here now and go into our 7th gym together. This is going to be Pryce's Ice-type gym, and we are going to take on just Skier Rocks and get ourselves a little bit of extra special stat experience. And now we will take on Pryce. He is the 7th gym leader, an Ice-type specialist who leads with Seal. We're going to body slam the Seal, get rid of it in one shot, and we'll swap to Flamethrower for both the Dugong and the Piloswine. The Dugong really was the longest time to take out there of all 3 of his Pokemon. A very easy battle though, and we obtained the Glacier Badge in 33 minutes and 35 seconds. Seeing as we did Jasmine out of sequence and we've done Sprout Tower, I think we've done very well for time so far. I don't think we would have been quicker if we hadn't have done those out of sequence. Arcanine is just one of those Pokemon. You've got to play it a little bit awkwardly. In the Ice Path, we're doing our standard full items. Nevermelt Ice, the TM, and the vitamins, as well as the PP up. We'll sell some of those, we'll use some of those, but it's all going to help towards the run in the end. In Blackthorn City, we do have to get our Max Repels. This is the last time, barring the full restores, we should need to shop for anything in this challenge. We'll grab the elixir, and now, will I get my timing right today? Yes! Yes, I do! Miracles can happen, goodness me. We will grab the extra PP up here, and I'm not sure how many Persecure Berries we'll need, so it's only a second or two to get that one as well. After the Ice Path comes our second trip into Goldenrod, where we have the 4th and penultimate rival battle awaiting us. He's still got the Totodile line, so even if he does hit us with a water move, it won't be too devastating. We'll get rid of Golbat to start off with. Here comes the Feraligatr. It should be 2 or 3 body slams, and look at how little Water Gun is doing. We grow up to level 39, and now we'll Flamethrower the rest of his party. Really, that Feraligatr is just a pest, rather than anything too threatening. It drains our HP ever so slightly, but I don't think we'll be losing that much HP now for the rest of the Rocket section. And now, while we are taking on the Rocket section, I want to do a little bit of a debrief of the Scyther Challenge, the one that came out just a couple of videos ago. I think everything came together perfectly for that one. We got the sub-hour time for the first time in history on our channel, and I think a lot of the reason is because I was playing with confidence. I decided to take the risks that I normally wouldn't take, and I trusted Scyther to do the rest. I did some calcs actually afterwards, and we got very lucky at the red fight. I believe both the Blastoise and the Snorlax were potentially ranges, so we got incredibly lucky to get the sub-hour. If we had ranged just one of those 2 Pokemon, we would have taken a reset, because both of them could have knocked us out very easily. And now there's definitely merit in the idea that if you play with confidence, a game becomes easier. I first really started to analyse that when I played a lot of Mario back in the day, and I noticed that if you're going at full speed in those levels, and if you're just trusting your instincts and relying on what you can automatically process coming up ahead of you, you're more likely to get to the end of the level than if you stop and think and play slowly and and your way through the challenge. Well, I think it's the same here in the solo runs. If you play with confidence, basically fake it till you make it with the solo runs. That's definitely what I did at the very beginning of the channel. Oh dear, I forgot that I didn't use the Max Ether properly there. It'll be fine. We can hidden power the coughing, and we'll do it next time we menu. But yeah, fake it till you make it, and eventually you get a good result. Not that I'm saying the result is fake. I must hasten to add that the result is completely genuine, but the confidence was faked until I eventually did make it. And now we have made it through to the very end of the Rocket section. We don't need to worry about Team Rocket again for this challenge. I don't count that one grunting Kanto as part of Team Rocket because he seems to be in a world of his own and you don't actually have to battle him. We must remember to do double 1-2-1-2 here to make sure that we get our radio card, and then we can take a trip back to Blackthorn. Clair is a potentially scary gym leader, but we do have Hidden Power Ice to try and counter at least the Dragonair. When it comes to her Kingdra though, I think we might have to do a bit of the old Sunny Day shuffle. Let's start beating up all of her mandatory trainers though, and then we'll get a better idea of how we're going to get on. We seem to have done fairly well so far through Clair's gym trainers, and we can now move on to the main event, which is Clair herself, our final Johtonian leader, a Dragon-type specialist who leads with Dragonair. We're going to use a Hidden Power against the Dragonair, and we knock it out in one. Kingdra comes out second. Kingdra is scary, so we're going to set up a Sunny Day, and she's crit. That was not what we were looking for, but we have paralysed the Kingdra. She goes for Dragon Breath, and she is now healing looping. Let us keep on body slamming. As long as we don't get paralysed, we will just about scrape through the rest of this battle, because we can go back to Hidden Power now for the final two Dragonair. And even though that battle was a little bit closer for comfort than I would have liked, we still get through on our first attempt. With that, we'll get out of here and we will go and mock Cool Trainer Darren en route to getting ourselves the Rising Badge. Here he is, he's a little sly so-and-so, ambushing trainers who think they've got the Rising Badge. We know what his gameplay is, he's an absolute wimp, so we'll knock him out in one. We'll get the Max Elixir, we'll go through the Whirlpool now, and we will have a little chat with the man here in the shrine. Once again, it's double 1-2-1-2 to get through in the quickest possible way. Clair will enter into the shrine, she'll be shocked that we've answered the survey correctly, and she will give us her badge in a time of 45 minutes and 55 seconds. That means we've got all 8 of our Johtonian gym badges acquired. To Victory Road we shall go. Now, I wasn't 100% sure how well Arcanine would do in the league against certain trainers, so I've gone and picked up the extra pair of rare candies that we can get access to after defeating Clair. So that way we can guarantee that we have the best possible chance to get through trainers like Karen and Lance. Took on a couple of optional trainers on the route to Victory Road, and now we can take on the final rival battle. He leads with Sneasel, we set fire to it, and it goes down in one. Here comes for Alligator, we'll use Body Slam once more. Water Gun does next to nothing, and it's a 2-shot this time. We will use a Hidden Power on the Golbat, make sure it goes down straight away. Here comes Haunter, we'll set fire to that one as well. Growing up to 47 as the Kadabra comes out. Kadabra's his last Pokemon. No, it's not. Magneton's his last Pokemon. He has a no hope of getting through us, so that means he's going to go home, and he's not going to bother with the league. We will do a very quick heal now, whether we need to or not. We will grab our full restores from the Pokemart. We'll park ourselves in front of the stairs. And so, as always, before going into the league, let's take a look at our stats and do some predictions. We are level 47 with 169 HP. Holding on to the Prosecure Berry at the moment, probably going to change that with Flamethrower, Hidden Power Ice, Sunny Day and Body Slam. 142 in attack, 112 in defense, 134 special attack, 115 special defense, and 123 in speed. And so I think for this one, it's going to be about the RNG through the league. There are a couple of battles where we'll probably have a tricky time. Karen's always going to be tough. Lance, I think, might be tougher than we expect because of his Aerodactyl especially, as well as his Gyarados. But I reckon the first 3 league members should be fairly free. And so now, after swapping to a little bit of an insurance Bitterberry, we're ready to take on the league. Our first league member is Will. He is a Psychic-type specialist who leads with Xatu. We're going to go for Hidden Power against Xatu, make sure that we can get rid of it in one. Slowbro is next. Slowbro goes for Amnesia, that's fine, that's what we want. Even the curse there won't matter, and we are on to Xatu number 2. Does Hidden Power one-shot? Yes, it does, thank goodness for that. Executor has a Flamethrower with its name on it, so it goes down as well. And we have just poor old Jinx left. Jinx is another one-shot, and we are through Will in a time of 51:36. After Will comes Koga, and Koga's going to be a very, very easy battle. He's a poison type specialist, but a lot of his Pokemon are very, very flammable. We'll start off with a flamethrower against the Ariados. He sends out Fortress next. He's going to use spikes on turn 1. So I'm going to use that opportunity to set up the Sun to try and get through his Muck and his Crobat a little bit easier. We burn the Muck there, that's absolutely perfect, and we can one-shot Crobat as well. Venomoth's last, it doesn't matter if the Sun's up or not for the Venomoth, it will go down either way, and that is Koga done. Next up is Bruno. Bruno is the fighting type specialist of the league, and he leads with Hitmontop. Hitmontop is going to be a little bit pesky because it's going to go underground. So we're going to set up the Sun on turn number 2 here and hope that the Sun boosted Flamethrower will be enough to see us through most of his other Pokemon. I think it's Machamp that's going to be the scary one. Rock Slide didn't do too much. We can Body Slam it on our next turn, paralyze it as well. The Sun has faded, but we will finish it off with a Flamethrower. Here comes Hitmonlee. I'm going to go for Body Slam against Hitmonlee. It goes down in 1. The last Pokemon is Hitmonchan. We're going to take 2 turns of guaranteed damage. No, we're not, because we get another crit. You know what I was saying about the game listening to me and being sentient? It happened again, didn't it? Made me out to be a right old liar. We will HP up now and Rare Candy for the Karen fight, and we will see how we get on. I'm going to use all the Rare Candies at this point, and we'll do a double HP up. Why not? We should probably use an Elixir as well. So let us now take Karen on. She is our final league member, the only obstacle between us and Lance, and she leads with Umbreon. We're going to set up the Sun. Sand Attack has hit, which isn't great, and we've missed our Flamethrower. But we connect on turn 2. It's not quite a one-shot. That was a range. Up next is Gengar. We're not getting Destiny Bonded. That is pretty big. We've missed again. Sometimes Sand Attack's meaningless. Other times it really does have quite an effect on your accuracy. We've paralysed the Houndoom and it's fully paralysed. She is in a healing loop, or at least she would be if we can attack both turns, which we can do. We have Vileplume next. We can Flamethrower it. And we get through Karen first try. That could have been a lot worse than it ended up being, so I am happy about that. We'll full restore now, and we will use one of our Max Elixirs. I think we'll hold on to the Nevermelt Ice just in case. Not for the Dragonite, but for the Aerodactyl. This is Lance Delire with the Flyers. He's our final obstacle between us and the Hall of Fame, and he leads with Gyarados. We're going to start off with a Body Slam as he goes for Rain Dance, and then we will finish it off with another Body Slam. We will move on to Aerodactyl next. Let's use Hidden Power and hope that it one-shots. It does, so now I can feel a little bit more relaxed. I think if we one-shot the Aerodactyl, it's definitely guaranteed that we will one-shot all of his Dragonite with Hidden Power, because it's quad super effective against those. Body Slam's likely to be a 2-shot against his Charizard. Another paralysis there. They're actually slowing us down at this point. And we are on to the last Dragonite. We will use a Hidden Power, and we defeat Lance in a time of 55 minutes and 7 seconds. Exactly a minute between Karen and Lance there, and a very smooth league. I am happy with this one so far, and that means we can now get our final Hall of Fame time for this challenge of 55 minutes and 22 seconds. Arcanine has done very well for itself in the first part of this challenge. Should we take a look at the midpoint leaderboards? And that time puts us in a very respectable 5th place on our 4 moves midpoint leaderboard. We're not quite in the same echelons as Porygon 2, Scyther and Marowak, but we are still in a very good position. We're kind of top of that second tier of Pokemon. And if we now take a look at our All Challenges leaderboard, we are still on page number 2 in a very respectable 41st place. We have finally got a Pokemon that has split up Salamence and Metagross there, the 2 Gen 3 pseudo-legendaries. They were getting a little bit too close for comfort with each other. I reckon 41st place is a roundabout fair for how Arcanine has performed in the first part of this challenge. Remember though, this is only half of the story. We are not through to the end yet. We have another 8 gym badges plus the red fight left to come. So I tell you what, don't you dare go anywhere, because Kanto is next. And now we are rejoining the action as we always do here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we're doing, Kanto, is get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon Fan Club. And with that safely tucked away on our bag for another challenge, let's get ourselves into the first Kantonian gym. We've just got Eggy Greggy to get through before we can take on Surge. And just to be safe, I am holding on to a Purr's Cure Berry. Not sure if we're going to need it, but he does have quite a high chance of paralysing us if we don't one-shot all of his Pokemon. So let's take him on. He's the Electric-type specialist of Vermilion City, led with Raichu that went down in 1. Up second is Electrode. We more than outspeed the Electrode. In fact, we're speed tied with Red's Pikachu at the moment as we knock them both out. Electabuzz is next. This is the one I wasn't too sure about, but it is a one-shot. And then we can get rid of Magneton as well. Very nice starts here to Kanto. Thunder Badge in 57-17. After Surge always comes Erika on our standard routing anyway, so let's get ourselves into Celadon City. I'm going to try and start to avoid picking up the PP up in Celadon. I find it's a little bit surplus to requirements and does add a teeny tiny bit of extra movement. However, the leftovers are still going to be very, very important to our routing because it gives us some passive health healing is what I was trying to say there. Don't know where the pathic came from. Anyway, let's now take on her trainers. I say it all the time, but I can't stand how many mandatories she's got. Kanbei actually informed me that in Generation 1 there's only one mandatory for Erika, so she really is making up for it here by having 3 mandatories instead. And for the longest time, I was really silly in this gym by taking the right-hand route. The left-hand route is significantly quicker, unless for whatever reason you're struggling to knock out an Executor after getting through the league. You should always take the left-hand side. Let's now take Erika on, though. She is our second Kantonian leader. She is a Grass-type specialist who leads with Tangela. We've got Flamethrower. We are super effective against all of her Pokemon. It's just going to be a case of holding down the button and seeing just how quickly we can obtain her badge. Her last Pokemon is Jumpluff. It goes down in 1. And we defeat Erika to obtain the badge in 58 minutes and 48 seconds. Let's get out of here, let's get on the bike, and let's get ourselves down to Fuchsia City. I really like taking Cycling Road to Fuchsia City. I find it such a quick little bit of routing. You don't have to worry about repels, you've just got a single mandatory trainer. No other spinners, it's just a really nice bit of routing. Plus you get some very nice defensive stat experience from the Noctowl. Janine's our third Kantonian gym leader. She is a specialist in nepotism as well as losing, and she led with Crobat. Crobat goes down in 1, she's got a Weezing next, it's going to do nothing as well. She sends out another one, and it suffers exactly the same fate. Her Ariados is next, it's another one-shot. We grow to 60, and the last Pokemon is Venomoth. No dire hit for us today, so that means we get the quickest possible Janine in a time of 59 minutes and 45 seconds. 57-second Janine split is really, really good. And now as we cross the hour mark, we can make our way into Rock Tunnel. We've got the Lantern today, so it's going to be a little bit easier for the old movement through here. We'll put the Max Repels in top spot as well. Now, I really do not like Route 9, which is why I go through Rock Tunnel. It's a little bit of trickier movement than the Route 9, but we avoid a spinner, we avoid a mandatory with 2 Pokemon, and instead we just have 1 mandatory to deal with, and that is a trainer with a Machamp. He is very, very easy to get through, so we don't have to fret quite as much about getting through to the power plants. Once we've been in there, we do go back to Saffron City, where we have our next gym leader waiting for us. This is Sabrina. She is the psychic specialist of Saffron City, and she's going to lead with Peskeon. Let's see, do we one-shot the Espeon? That is the question. We do. I wonder if that was a range. We might find out against this Mr. Mime. We crit, so we will never know. We will, however, one-shot the Alakazam. Nice simple finish to the battle there, and we defeat Sabrina to get the Marsh Badge in a time of 1:01:28. Let us get out of here, and we know what happens after we defeat Sabrina. It's time for everyone's favourite part of the challenge. That's right, it's time for Nugget Bridge. And in this one, I want to talk to you all about what I'm trying to do to improve my times in Pokémon Crystal in kind of a relatively stress-free way. For the longest time, I have treated Crystal all as just one big game. But now I'm starting to think of it as like a jigsaw puzzle, where you can do certain pieces in certain different orders to try and make the most efficient routing through the game. For instance, we can do all of that middle part of Johto in whatever order we like. With Scyther, we found it quicker to do Ecruteak all at once. With a lot of Pokemon, we do the Kimono girls first, then do Lighthouse and come back to Ecruteak. And with some other Pokemon, it's better to go to the Lake of Rage to get Hidden Power. We don't see that so much on 4 moves, but when we're running our standard challenge run rules, then we sometimes do need to get Hidden Power in order to get through both the rival and Morty. So I'm trying to kind of learn in my own time little bits of movement and little bits of efficiencies to try and get the best routings through all of these little pieces and connect them all together to get good times. The Scyther was the first time I tried it in practice, and it really did seem to pay off. Well, there's no seam about it, is there? It did pay off because we managed to get that time of under the hour. If you haven't seen that challenge, by the way, I really would recommend going back and watching it. It was one of the best I think we'll ever see here on the channel. And now that Misty's called us a pest, we'll get ourselves back into Cerulean City and we will take her on. We do have the type disadvantage to Misty, so this one is very, very slightly dangerous. She leads with Golduck. We use Body Slam against Golduck, we crit it, and it goes down in a 1. I'm going to use probably a Sunny Day actually against this Quagsire, and then we'll go to Body Slam. She's gone for Rain Dance, that's fine, because we can swap back to Sunny Day for the Lapras. Surf doesn't do too much at all, and it is going to be a neutral Flamethrower to the face for Lapras. Now, I think Flamethrower is going to be best against the Starmie. She goes for Surf, she doesn't try to confuse, so we have a fairly easy battle there. Cascade Badge in 10404, mustn't forget the machine part. And now, will I remember to use the Rentalabra in this one instead of going for the Air Balloon? Yes, I do. That's something I keep on messing up. So I am glad that I reminded myself to use the correct HM item there. I am also working very, very hard on trying to remove as many unforced errors with movement as possible throughout the course of the challenges. On each challenge, I probably make about 4 or 5 little errors on average. So I'm trying to take that time to think about what I'm doing instead of getting a little bit tripped up over myself, which is very easy to do. When you've got that timer looming in the bottom corner of your screen at all times, it is very, very, very easy to lose focus and start to choke, even when there's very little at stake. For instance, this Arcanine challenge, it's not going to make the top of the leaderboard, so I don't need to put that extra pressure on myself. So there isn't that much at stake compared to the last challenge, but I still do want to get a good time with this Pokemon. Brock is our next gym leader, and we're going to take full advantage of the fact that he has a relatively low special defense with most of his Pokemon. Now, the big issue here is probably going to be the Omastar and the Kabutops. Probably going to have to use a Sunny Day here. And another critical hit, goodness me. We can Flamethrower the Onix, and that just leaves Kabutops left to go. The Sun should make this a fairly simple affair in the grand scheme of things. And we defeat Brock in a time of 106 on the nose to obtain the Boulder Badge. Blaine could be a little bit of a pest. I don't think he's going to cause a reset, but he could be a little bit of a time sink, you know, in this one, because he has that Magcargo. And while we've got fairly good learn set diversity, we've got nothing for his Magcargo, so it isn't exactly going to be a very quick battle. I'm just hoping it will be a fairly smooth battle this time. Now down here on Cinnabar Island, we will get the next rare candy, and we're also going to have a little chat with Blue. He will fly all the way back to Viridian City, and we'll take him on in just a moment or two. But we've got the most awkward gym leader to get to first, Bloody Blaine in the Seafoam Islands. Let us be very safe with this. We'll use a super potion just to get up to almost full health, and we will take him on. This is Blaine, the fire type specialist of the Seafoam Islands, and he leads with Magcargo. Going to use a Sunny Day here, and then I think we're just going to try and ignite this already hot Magcargo. And another critical hit. What is happening with our crit rate today? We are getting obnoxiously lucky with the crits. He should now Healing Loop his Rapidash, so we have a very, very easy battle. Not quite level 63, but we do get through, obtaining the Volcano badge in 107.24. Let's get back to Viridian City now. We'll do a PP heal in the Pokemon Center. Probably going to be slightly quicker than fumbling around in the bag. And we'll make our way in to the final gym. This is Blue. He is the final gym leader of the challenge. And for him, we're going to hold on to the leftovers. Let's take him on and see what happens. He is going to lead with Pidgeot. Now, I reckon we are going to set up the sun here. And then we'll set fire to his bird. It'll be a one-shot with Sunny Day, boosted Flamethrower. Rhydon is next. We have Hidden Power for that. It is super effective, so we don't need to worry about the Rock Ground type. Gyarados is third, and you know what? I think Flamethrower is probably going to be a good opening there. He does go for Rain Dance, so we're going to cancel that straight away with a Sunny Day. And now, probably Body Slam and hope for a Para. He's gone for Rain Dance again. He's probably going to Healing Loop, so we'll go for a Body Slam on turn number 1. He's got Paralyzed. He might full heal, but I'm going to Sunny Day just in case. He did not. This is going to be the time sink of the battle. He's using another full restore. I am very glad that we PP upped Body Slam. Rain Dance is back. I don't care at this point. We're getting rid of the Gyarados. Alakazam is third. We've got another Body Slam for it. Fourth, third, I've lost track. Up after that is Arcanine. Once again, we've not got anything great for his dog, but we have paralyzed it. Extreme Speed tickles us, but we knock it out in 2. The last Pokemon is Executor. The rain has stopped, and we can Flamethrower it to knock it out in 1, and Blue is defeated. Time of 1:09:06 for the badge. Now, we are not at a clean level, so we're going to speak to our friend of the channel, Gem. He has a Jinx Elective as a Magnemar, and that should be a very, very quick battle to get us up to level 64. That just means we're making the most of our rare candies. It's going to be 3 one-shots on him. He's not a tricky battle. Let's now get ourselves over to Pallet Town. We will have a chat with Professor L. Maybe today he will be very happy that we have an Arcanine. Nope. He is still miserable about the fact that we only have 1 Dex entry. We don't care about that anymore though. We can get ourselves over to Silver Cave and we can do our prep work for the final battle of this challenge. And the prep work this time involved picking up the final rare candy using a Max Elixir and using a Max Ether. And we are now at level 67 to go into the red fight. We have the lantern, so I don't need to do any of the fun Silver Cave movement. I can just see where I am going. I tell you what, this room feels a hell of a lot smaller when you can see where you're going compared to when you are doing it in the dark. Let's park ourselves in front of Red, and we'll dig in for a bit of a war of attrition. This is Red. He leads with Pikachu. We one-shot the Pikachu with a Flamethrower. Up next is Espeon. We're going to use a Sunny Day. He's gone for Psychic instead of Reflect. That's very interesting. I thought he would have gone straight for the Reflect there. There it is on turn number 2. We knock the Espeon out in 2, and up third is going to be Blastoise. Because Reflect is up, we are going to have to just use Flamethrower. Surf still hits us fairly hard through the sun, but we are making good progress against this Blastoise. The Reflect has faded. We're going to do another Flamethrower, and he knocks us out. So we are not getting resetless in this particular red battle, but we will keep on persevering. We know we're only battling 5 Pokemon because the Pikachu will go down in 1 almost every time. This time Espeon's gone for Reflect on turn 1. That's kind of annoying, but we can kind of counter it a little bit by trying to stall this Blastoise. The plan is to get this Blastoise paralyzed and hope that it becomes fully paralyzed long enough for us to survive a few hits. We're going to do the Sunny Day Shuffle as well in the interim, and it is just refusing to be paralyzed. If we were Red Snorlax, that would have been an instant paralysis, so let's keep on trying. We're back onto the Espeon. Hopefully he goes for Psychic. I think Psychic is actually the better choice for us in this particular battle. because it means that Body Slam is doing a fair amount against this Blastoise. That's a critical hit. We are taking a reset and we are trying again. Unfortunately, for some Pokemon like Arcanine, the very end of the challenge is difficult. We are primarily playing as a special attacker, and we don't have that good physical coverage. This is interesting. We fully paralyzed the Espeon, so that means we don't have a Reflect, and we're at full health for the start of the Blastoise. We get another critical hit into a paralysis. We will Sunny Day Shuffle this Blastoise now. He crits back. That's very, very mean. But we'll now swap to Flamethrower. We get another critical hit. Goodness me. We can move on to at least see this Snorlax. We'll Flamethrower it. We don't get much damage. And another crit knocks us out. I don't know what the chances were of that many critical hits in that battle, but it seemed a little bit ludicrous. We're going to keep on persevering now. We've been hit by Psychic this time from the Espeon. I think we should be okay, though, to go for a Body Slam against the Blastoise. He's gone straight for Surf. He's changing his mind. Now we want the Reflect. Goodness me, I think this might end up being a fairly tricky battle for our Arcanine here. I don't know if there's too much we can do. We get a Spadef drop there. We're going to take a reset. I'm wondering, you know, if that opening with the Body Slam on the Espeon here might be a good idea, because it's going to be a two-shot regardless, and there is a chance then of paralyzing it. We're going to go in at 168 HP for the Blastoise, see if we can paralyze it. We might get lucky, we do not. At least the resets are fairly quick at the start of this battle. I don't want to risk setting up Sunny Day, by the way, against Pikachu because of a Charm. We'll use a Body Slam. He's gone for Reflect this time. We'll finish it off with Flamethrower. Now that does mean he's likely to go for Rain Dance, but we didn't paralyze the Blastoise this time. Let's try again and keep on persevering. Eventually we will get the luck that we need. It's just a bit of an RNG-based battle here at Red. We get knocked out, we will keep on trying. Once again, we're only battling 5 Pokemon. Pikachu's irrelevant, so we aren't that much in danger. I'm hoping we can find a Pokemon we can stall against as well to try and regain some of our health. Now, if we can get a fully paralyzed Blastoise like that, we could potentially be onto something here. We are going to have to use the Sunny Day Shuffle once again, though, but we will swap to probably Flamethrower now. That's likely to do the most amount of damage. The more turns he goes without damaging us, the more health we can regain as well. He's fully paralyzed. This Flamethrower should knock it out. We are in a much better position for the Snorlax. Now, I've taken a little bit of time to weigh up the options here at Snorlax. There are 2 ways we could play it. We could either go straight for Flamethrower, or we could go in to Body Slam and try and paralyze. I'm going to go for Flamethrower. We don't crit and we don't burn, and now we're going to swap to Body Slam. We paralyze it, but he hits us back with Body Slam. We aren't paralyzed, and I think maybe now we risk a Flamethrower again and hope for a crit. Didn't happen, we're down to 47. We don't want the Sun Up for this Charizard. That would be the worst case scenario. We've paralyzed it. We are down to 9. This now is all about the luck. If it's fully paralyzed like that, we're in with a chance because we should be able to one-shot with Body Slam. And now we are on to the Venusaur. Hopefully it will just take in Sunlight and we'll have an easy end to the battle. Just like that, we grow to level 68 and we have defeated Red in a time of 1 hour, 16 minutes and 48 seconds. That was a little bit tricky at the end there for Red, wasn't it? Should we now take a look at the final leaderboard? That final Red battle took its toll on Arcanine, and we've ended up down in 9th place, just behind Stantler and fairly well ahead of Corsola, and that does push Magneton onto page 2, keeping some Flora company there. And now if we look at the overall leaderboard, we slipped down onto page 3 in 55th place. We actually ended up tying with Salamence, so we had a very similar end there, I'm assuming, to both of these challenges. I think maybe on a different day with different luck and maybe some different moves we could have done better, but that is what I thought would be the best way to play Arcanine. Sometimes I'm right, other times I am definitely not anywhere close to being right. And maybe in this one I got the wrong idea with the best strat for this mon. But that's the beauty of 4 moves. You can always download the patch and give it a go yourself. And I'm sure you'll get a much, much better time. But with that, we are done. So I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you have, make sure to leave a like. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. Subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this. Of course, you can become a channel member and become a HM friend if you want to see the videos that little bit early. But until next time, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all very, very soon.